Welcome to Audible Stories. The host hospitality. Once upon a time in a small village, a good and generous man who was preparing for the day of prayer, when he heard someone knocking at his door. He opened it and found a stranger standing there. The man was shivering in the chill of the late autumn evening. "Good evening," the stranger said. "I have been traveling for months. I am seeking a place to sleep for the night." In those days it was the custom to welcome strangers, to offer hospitality to all those in need. And so the good man and his wife, who were especially kind, naturally welcomed the stranger into their home. The good husband and his wife showed their visitor to the table that was set for the prayer meal, and after they said their prayers, all three enjoyed a marvelous feast. As they were eating cake and sipping sweet tea, the man said, "You must be tired. Whenever you wish, I'll show you to your room." A few moments later, he led the stranger to a quiet room where his wife had put out their finest linens. "May you sleep the sleep of angels," the man said to his guest, and with those words he lighted a candle and tiptoed out of the room. The guest was amazed by his good fortune. Supper had been delicious, perhaps the best meal he'd ever enjoyed. And now this bed. It was more comfortable than any he'd ever known and felt. Everything about the guests that night was blissful, and he woke in the morning to the smell of freshly baking bread. He smiled to himself, thinking how glad he was that he had happened upon such generous people as his hosts. Just then the man called, "Breakfast is ready." When the guest saw the morning spread, he nearly wept with joy. "You are far too generous," he cried. "No one has ever been so good to me." "Our pleasure," the host said, and once again all three shared a fine meal. At long last, the guest smiled at his new friends. "Surely no one in the entire country is more generous than you guys," he said, and then he paused and added, "with an exception of course, the intellectual guru." The host now frowned at this. It happened that the intellectual guru, or the rabbi in this village, was a fool, and more than that, the host believed that their guru might indeed not only be selfish, but a scoundrel, too. "It is true most guru are good men, and wise too," the host said, shaking his head, "but sadly, our guru of this village is a fool." "Nonsense," the stranger laughed. "That is impossible. An intellectual guru cannot be a fool." The man's wife bit her lip to keep from speaking, but as the guest stood to bid his farewell, the host put up his hand. "Wait one moment," he said, and he rushed into the other room, returning a few moments later holding a piece of paper. "Your bill," said the host, handing the paper to his guest. "My bill?" the guest asked, startled and alarmed. This could not be. Everyone agrees and understands that visitors deserved not only hospitality, but warmth and generosity, freely given. "You are joking," said the guest. "You would not make me pay." "I am most serious," the host said. "This bill accounts for your food, your lodging, your linens and your blessed sleep, just as it should be." "You know that is wrong," the guest said vehemently. "That is pathetically nonsense and against all the customs of your land." "So, we have a dispute," the host said. "We must go to see the intellectual guru and ask him to settle our case." "A fine idea," the guest said quickly, for he knew any wise man would agree that the hospitality the host has offered a stranger must not cost that stranger to pay. The two men walked in silence to the guru's home and knocked upon the door, and when the guru opened it, the guest explained, "Your fellow here has handed me a bill for my lodging, but I am only a poor traveler passing through your village. Surely do you agree that I ought not pay?" Then the host said, "We gave him food and lodging and the finest night's sleep a man can have. That, you will agree, should cost." The guru listened carefully, and then he examined the bill. And then, like all wise men, he thought for a long time. Eventually he rubbed his chin and scratched his beard, and then he said, sagely, "I agree with the host, the guest must pay." The guest could not believe his ears, but he understood that this village was a peculiar place. Here, it seemed, strangers must pay their own way. Here no one was generous, and hospitality was surely not at all the village's customs and traditions. The two men departed and once again walked down the road. As they did, the guest reached into his pouch and pulled out all his money. Carefully, coin by coin, he counted out the money he owed the host, and then he turned to him and said, "Here is your money." "Thank you," the host said, taking the coins. And then, to the guest's amazement, he dropped the coins, one by one, back into the guest's pouch. "Now I return your money to you," he said. "But you said I must pay, and even your guru agreed too," the guest said. Now his head was spinning with confusion. The host now smiled. "I offered you my hospitality out of generosity from my heart. I only wanted to prove you the truth about our intellectual guru." Now the guest understood, and from that day on he waited, watched and listened, in order to discover who was good and wise, and who was not. And never be judgmental about anyone by its position but, instead, by its caliber. If you like the story, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you for listening.